modeling during a pandemic isn't like the most lucrative route to take.
Ain't no stopping here, I promise, man, I promise.
Hi friends! I figured I'd share with you how I became a fashion model in New York City and see what you take from it and see if it's something that you're interested in as well. My friend Julia is texting me about this amazing Pilates app she found. And Julia's a model, so that's perfect. Wow. No, that's like literally what models talk about. It's fine. I was living in Austin, Texas, where I'm actually living again now. I was just a typical college student and I decided to get a little bit more involved in my community. So I started going to these Boss Babe events. That's what they're called. It's Boss Babes, ATX is the group, and they're still around. They're really great. So if you're in Austin, you should check them out. But I went to one of their community events. It was kind of like a little fair they were throwing where people were selling their own products like soaps or jewelry or anything that was homemade. And I met a woman there who owned a boutique store in Austin, and she asked me if I could model. And at the time I was dating this boy who always used to tell me that I should be a model, and I just thought that was like something nice that boyfriends are supposed to say. So I didn't really think much of it until she asked me, and then I did that. I got paid for it, which was a really interesting experience, and I didn't think that was like something I would ever do. And so I started to get a little bit more excited about modeling. I focused a lot on shooting with local photographers. So some of the ones that really helped me are Katie Dawson, who is now Katie Cox. She just got married. She's so cute. And Clay Moss, he's a really great photographer. He lived in Houston at the time, but now he lives in Austin as well. And Monique Rodriguez was another amazing one. So I feel like just starting to work with them and getting more pictures on my Instagram and growing my actual book of modeling really helped me. And then that started to get some traction on Instagram, and that is where I found my mother agent. So that was step one of getting signed. A mother agent is very similar to a manager. So her job is to get me signed to agencies across the world, basically. So she started with LA agencies because I told her that I had plans to move to LA after I graduated from college. So I was looking mostly at those, and she ended up signing me in LA, which was one of the best days of my life. I'll never forget it. It was just so surreal to think that it was actually happening. So I think I signed in early winter, and I still had a semester left of college, so I was planning on moving out there later, and I signed with Industry LA, and I'm still with them. So I was planning to move there, and then I got a call from my agent Melissa, and Melissa owns Explosion Model Management, so she's a wonderful mother agent. If you are ever looking to get into it, I can connect you. She's really great, and she also represents my friend Fabi. And yeah, she's the best. I love her. But you can still get signed without a mother agent, which is really important to know. You can always email the agencies, and they oftentimes have open calls. I'm sure that's a little bit different now that we're in a pandemic. Melissa calls me and she was like, hey, agency in New York called Red Model Management is interested in you. How do you feel about being signed in New York? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I've never thought about living in New York, but why not? Let's do it. I still wanted to move to LA, but she had said that I could maybe just go there for the summer before I go to LA, or just try it out for a month even and see how I like it. So that was my plan. I graduated college in May, and then I moved to New York in June. So it was really quick. It was really everything happening all at once, and it was kind of like everything I'd ever wanted, but I also like knew nothing that I was getting myself into. I was supposed to be there for a month, and so I was living in the model apartments through my agency, and probably like halfway through the month I was like, I'm obsessed with New York, I'm never leaving, I could be here for the rest of my life and be happy. I actually dropped my agency in New York because I wanted to do a little bit more like freelance stuff with modeling. And the way modeling agencies work are they're exclusive to the region. So if you're signed in New York and you're signed exclusively, that means you can't do any other modeling jobs without letting your agency know and without giving them a percentage of your fee. And most of the time, giving your agency a percentage isn't a big deal because they're finding these jobs for you, and they're jobs that you would never be able to get on your own with rates that you would never be able to get on your own. So it really does have a lot of value. But when it came to stuff that I wanted to do, like smaller jobs and like little projects with friends and stuff, I just kind of felt like it was too much to always talk to my agency about it before. So I decided to drop my New York agency, which was totally fine. I'm still friends with everyone there, and they're really great. A lot of my friends are still signed there. It kind of was like my family when I moved to New York. So no hard feelings there, but it was just best for my career. Okay, so now I want to go over a couple modeling tips if you're wanting to get into modeling. Number one is don't take anything personally, because as a model, you are kind of treated like an object, kind of literally like a clothes hanger, which is something you really just have to accept before you get into the industry, because it's not personal at all. Like, you could be the most amazing, charismatic, charming girl, and a casting director is going to treat you how they're going to treat you no matter what. Like, it just doesn't matter. You definitely are going to have times where people like drill into you, and you just have to release it right away. Do not take it personally. That is my number one tip, number one piece of advice. And tip number two is to build your book. So your book is like a physical book. Here, I have mine, let me show you. This is my old book from Red Model Management. You walk into a go-see or a casting for a client, and they'll ask you for your book. So you hand them this, and inside you always have a comp card. So this is my old comp card, and it has your measurements on here, and then it usually has 2 pictures. And I used to be blonde, but this is me. But your agency will do your comp card, don't worry about that. And your agency also does your book. But it's good to have, I had a lot of these pictures before I got signed, so when I did get signed, I didn't spend like the first couple months doing test shoots to get pictures to put in my book. They just used a lot of the ones that I already had. Your book has pictures of you in it, and it's good to have a range of pictures. So when you're shooting with people, you want to get like beauty shots, you want to do some like body shots to show your figure, and then you want to switch it up. These are all of the same shoot, so it's not switching it up, but you want to kind of show that you can be like a little artsy, a little moody. You want to mix in some high fashion as well, which I actually don't have that much of. And I did a lot of like print and commercial stuff, so it was good for me to have like a lot of different expressions. You can also do all of this on an iPad, which is actually like more environmentally friendly, so people are never mad if you hand them your iPad and they like flip through pictures. And also your book can be like your Instagram. Like book equals Instagram basically these days. You can also have a website, but you don't need to have like a physical copy if you're not signed. You just need to start thinking about what would be in your book and putting that out to the world. Instagram is definitely a tool that like every single agent uses ever, so you want to make sure that you have good content on there. And the way you do that is to connect with photographers. You live in a town where there's not a lot of photographers. There are ways around that. You can have your friend take a picture of you, you can have your mom take a picture of you, but it really is important to connect with people. And usually if you like, say you're working with a photographer that has a lot of followers and they post a picture of you and they tag you, you're bound to get a couple of those followers if people click on your page and see that you're a model and you're trying to make it. People are usually pretty supportive of that. So it's all about connections and collaborations. My next tip is to practice your walk and practice your posing. So as models, one of the main jobs is runway modeling, and it's really important to have like a very specific walk for runway modeling. It's not just how you walk down the street, it's very different. I would look up a video on how to do that, and there's plenty of resources out there that show you like what the perfect model walk is, but I would say number one tip is just to be fierce for sure. Also practice your posing. I still do that in front of the mirror. There's a lot of things that look good that don't intuitively feel good, so it's important to make sure you know what your body looks like when it goes into certain poses and certain movements. Tip number 4 is to create a routine of self-care. So this means working out, this means skincare, this means healthy eating. As a model, the way you look is your job. So you have to be very conscious of that, and you have to kind of like take responsibility for that. That's very important. I would say my last tip is to just have fun and do it because you really want to and not because you think it's what you have to do. And if there ever comes a time where you're not enjoying it, which is totally common, don't feel bad about it and just run with it and know that you had that experience, and it may not be for you, but it's something that you probably learned a lot during. And those are my tips on how to become a successful model. And there's plenty of things that I still don't know about the industry. The modeling world is very exclusive, and it took me going through it to kind of understand it. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope to do more videos on this, but I just kind of want to hear what you're interested in learning about.
Ain't no stopping here, I promise. Man, I promise.